It says it's streaming to you guys on locals. So, if you can hear me and you see the graphic on locals, then you're good. Play around with the Christmas stuff. What do we got here? Candy frames, holiday. I'm not a big fan of this stuff. I'll tell you right now. All right, folks, welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. Yes, I'm wearing my coat because it is freezing while they do the Christmas decorations with the doors open because they have to be for right now. Ooh, and it's cold, but it's good. It's holly jolly cold. Speaking of holly jolly, I'm going to play around with the banners here in a minute. I'm not sure if you're going to like them or I'm going to like them, to be honest, but we're going to check it out. All right. Don't forget, if you like the videos, to like them and share them far and wide. The best place, we're everywhere on Getter, on Locals, on YouTube, on Truth. But the best place, as always, to follow us is on Locals, right down there. peoplespundit.locals.com, peoplespundit.locals.com. All right. Not a great generic ballot for Republicans, and not a great day for Republicans. And you got to wonder if some of them just want to lose. And the truth is, of course, the easy answer to that is yes, because they don't. First of all, most elected Republicans don't really care if they're in the minority or they're in the majority, as long as, one, they keep their seat, and two, they get a ranking position on a committee, because that's how DC works. Nobody's K Street lobbying group gets boxed out totally when they're in the minority. And you can see that now with how Republicans are governing. Democrats certainly threaten more effectively to do that. But the fact of the matter is, if you are in a position of seniority in Washington, D.C., you will be just fine. Your donors will be just fine. In fact, you'll get to recycle the same message and the same campaign promises that you didn't fulfill last cycle all over again in order to win and raise more money from donors, and the entire slop goes on and on and on and on. And the donors get it, and the donors get what they want, and their benefactors get what they want. You get screwed. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Also, is it up? Is it up? Is it up? Is it up and is it right? A little holly jolly Christmas present. The number isn't right. We have a couple of $1,000 from New Jersey that needs to be put into the Christmas poll. So the number's not right, but you could do the quick math in your head. If you go to Big Data Poll, you'll see what our target has to be. I'm wondering why there's a second New Jersey thing up there. That's weird. But that needs to go. So do not, I repeat, do not give to New Jersey. Okay. I probably can figure this out myself really quickly, but I don't know if we did so well with the Christmas poll graphic this year. You guys tell me. I mean, I'll put it up here right now. Again, that number has got to be changed because we have to take the money from New Jersey and put it into the Christmas poll. All right. So there, immediately off the top, you could see it was already reduced, and that was supposed to be a Christmas present, from us or whatever, kind of thing, like I'll be holly jolly. And we'll remind you guys of a couple of things that we asked during the Christmas poll, because this is an annual tradition. We've been doing this for a while. I remember spending a good hour with Sean Parnell after we did the last Christmas poll last year. Of course, now Sean is at the Pentagon. He's the assistant secretary or something like that for public affairs at the defense. Sorry, Sean, if I get your title wrong, buddy. Thanks for the creds, by the way. I'll come see you shortly, and hopefully we can get together. That's the couple of things. Also, I'm glad I actually just said that out loud. Whoops. One of the trips was not supposed to be public, but it is right now. I have 2 trips that I have to make before Christmas, which means, if you want to do things with the kids and you want to get everything done around the house and everything, and so on and so forth, you have to, it's going to be crazy, right? So I don't know how next week's going to go. Obviously I'll be in AmFest in Phoenix on the weekend. I have a breakout. You guys, if you're going to watch AmFest, don't miss Saturday morning, this breakout that I'm doing. I think Jack, I asked Jack if he wanted to come up and like just have a discussion, because the topic, which I don't think I can tell you about until they announce, not like a huge deal, but it hasn't been announced yet. But the topic is something I would have absolutely discussed with Charlie during in the AmFest breakout. With Charlie not here, I really do feel like Jack is the God, you don't want to use these words because they're just so horrible to use. But Jack's the right guy. So in lieu of Charlie, Jack is the right guy. It's getting warmer in here, so I guess they probably started to finish. What do you guys think about our little Christmas graphic, by the way? You guys like it? We did a little gold tree. Those are actually multiple images overlaid with each other with a nice little star, all gift wrapped. It was super, super busy before, like really, really busy. And I'm like, is this absolutely necessary? And I didn't think it was. And I like this one a lot better. It's just cleaner. It's just much, much, much cleaner. But I guess probably, let's see if I purge the cache. I probably have to. It's still there. Phenomenal. Let's go edit it without you guys being able to see something. I'm just going to go ahead and refresh. I really don't want anybody. Yeah, it's gone. No, it's not. I really don't want anyone to donate to something they shouldn't be donating to. So the New Jersey governor's race should not be up there twice. And I don't know why it is. In fact, it shouldn't even be public anymore. This is crazy. I don't understand. That is weird. Weird. I'll have to go and find out what on earth is going on, because, yeah, I just don't want you to do that. So ignore it. Don't touch it. I don't know if there's something. I just don't know yet. I'll figure it out. We'll get it done. I just don't want you guys to do that. So stay away from the New Jersey thing. Totally pointless. All right. It must have been like someone trying to just be quick and duplicate. I actually think I know. I just don't know why I did it, but I think I do know. What about this one? Oh, that's cute. I like that one. It's a little busy. It covers the name. Happy holidays. That's adorable. Okay. Gingerbread? God, who doesn't like gingerbread? How does that work on the other one, though? Boom, right in front of my face. What's Boxing Day? Oh, in Britain. Right. That's right. I have some friends in Britain. Oh, Santa in a beach. Yeah, well, we don't live in Florida no more, even though Florida was wonderful. Ooh. I like that. Yeah, People's Pundit likey. It covers the thing, though. What do you guys think? Maybe just a little bit more simplistic, right? That's probably a little better. All right, let's keep it on that. All right. So yeah, the Christmas poll thing is up. I'll fix that. Make sure stay on the Christmas poll. All right. And if it gets to, look, there was like 5 or something raised for the New Jersey governors. So do not go over 12 minus 5. Okay. Don't do that. I'm gonna look to see whether or maybe I shouldn't even say that before I talk to Laura. It won't go over anytime soon, so I'm not really worried about it. But yeah, it's up. It's ready to go. Stay away from Jersey. That's the bottom line. I'm making this too complicated. All right. And to remind you about what we do for the Christmas poll, we can go to, let's go to blog. And I just killed it. That's awesome. That's me killing stuff. Great. Yeah, I know what I did wrong. Okay, give it a second. My fault. I'll go to Alchemer instead. There it is. Results. I can go and show you guys the report from Alchemer until that. It's a memory exhaustion thing. We beat it up with too many people logged in. All right. I can't show you that quite yet. Let me get into the report. And of course, we'll do political stuff late after the Christmas poll. Political stuff is like the trackers. We don't go overboard when it comes to the Christmas poll on political stuff. It's, simple screening process. And then it dives into, the questions that obviously we ask about people who celebrate Christmas. I mean, right away, it's who did you vote for? Let's look at 2024 and you'll see. All right. Who did you vote for? Hey, what's your vote history? Screening, registered to vote. We'll probably do likely voting screen too. And then the screen immediately after, by the way, that was pretty good. 49.2 to 45.5. Not bad. That 3.5, someone else, and 1.8. We know like a little bit of this that is Donald Trump. But the rest of it is Kamala Harris. All right. So that's how long it's been since people were ashamed, because that's where this comes from. This comes from a place of shame, just so everybody understands. When people don't tell you who they're voting for, yeah, and I know if you are, don't worry about it. If someone's like, oh, I'm trying to donate to it, just give it a second, it'll go back up. But when people don't when people don't tell the truth about who they're voting for, it comes from a place of shame or regret, remorse, right? Something like that. All right. So that's what it comes down to. Don't read too much into the poll that's coming out. It will 100% show that for Donald Trump. The question for me is whether or not this continues. And what do I mean by that is in a month or so, by the way, the site's back up. In a month or so, this could go back to normal. In a week or so, it could go back to normal. Right now, we have about 1.5 points saying we know they voted for Trump, and we've been down this road about how we know this. But about 1.5 points of Trump support doesn't want to say they voted for Donald Trump. That's bad. That started with Biden, never came back. It did happen to Barack Obama for a little bit, and it came back. And it would go back and forth. Kamala Harris voters, this has been going on since Donald Trump was inaugurated. People immediately did not want to admit that they, in fact, did vote for Kamala Harris. Think about it. Without getting too much into the weeds, do you want people ashamed that they voted for you? Do you want people remorseful that they voted for you? It's not a good thing. And it is a high degree of confidence that we know who is and who isn't lying. It's a very high degree of confidence. All right, so let's go back real quick. And the very first screen are we doing the Christmas poll after all that is, do you celebrate Christmas? Last year, 91%. We can go and look at the blog again to show you what we do. I'll go back and I'll find it here in a second. But I think it's been around this for a while. This level for a while. Yeah, I'd rather actually show you. I think last year's graphic was too busy. Yeah, let's do that. I'd rather show you. I'd rather show you the actual like PR, whatever you want to call it. There it is. Busy, 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 right? Busy, 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 like Frosty the Snowman. But this was last year's, roughly 91%, not roughly, 91%, roughly 9 in 10, said they do in fact celebrate Christmas. You could see a little drop off, which was weird with super seniors. A couple little things that we'll keep an eye on, but that's the screener question because we want to know whether it's very simple. This year, however, we are going to add a few things. I don't know if you noticed, but Mike Cernovich and I have been having a little back and forth on X, not against each other, in total agreement with each other. And I know Mike knows the research because he's reacted to it before on Twitter. We've been doing this for years, which is there is a lot of research not suggesting, demonstrating that faith leaders, Christian evangelicals, and Catholic Church priests, they had their scandal. But when we're talking about, it's a Protestant country, right? When it comes to Christianity, this is the largest denomination is Protestant, and evangelical Protestant or not, that's, Catholics are about a quarter, roughly, give or take. But Protestants are the biggest share of Christians. So that's why we're so focused on it for obvious reasons. And yes, the Catholic Church certainly did enormous damage with their priest touches little boys all over the country scandal. Bishops and dioceses do nothing. That was devastating to the church, public views of the church. But before that happened, Gallup had been tracking for many, many years before Gallup turned into garbage, when they were still the gold standard. They had done so much research on this. Pew Research began to do it. Rasmussen became a national tracker about 2 decades or so ago, a little bit more, and they have data on it. We popped on the scene about a decade or more, over a little over a decade ago. We started doing research on it. And what all of us, and especially Gallup, who goes back longer than any of us, what all of us have found to be very clear is that the Christian, especially like the televangelist, and yes, they are Zionists, the evangelicals that got money from certain groups to go on radio, to go on TV, to get these super churches, Jimmy Swaggart, Hagee, Pat Robertson, these people, and even to some extent, Falwells, but I would not say they belong in the category with Hagee and Swaggart. They did massive, massive damage to the body of Christ, to the church, with their judgmentalism and their hypocrisy. So Jimmy Swaggart cannot sit there in his super church and preach about infidelity and being an adulterer and the sins of being gay and all of this other stuff while he's nailing other women. Pastor Hagee cannot be preaching to Americans how Jews are better than them and how Americans should do better to follow the Lord, while he's banging his secretary, who he then destroys his marriage for and goes and marries and starts a whole new family. That's judgmental hypocrisy, and Americans hate it. And the amazing thing about the Christmas poll is that we're going to add this year, do you believe in God? You might say, Rich, but 90% of America celebrates Christmas. Doesn't mean 90% believes in God. In fact, you will be stunned to find out how many Muslims acknowledge and actually celebrate in their way. We've been through it. If you are new to the Christmas ball, you're going to be stunned with these results. You will be stunned to find out how many even Jews, who are especially secular Jews, still say and will tell you, oh, I do acknowledge the holiday. I may even put up a Christmas tree. You'll see it. You will see it. Although I'm stunned at how many Muslims do it. I'm stunned. And they do. But we're going to ask about belief in God much the same way during Easter we ask whether or not people believe in the resurrection. One of the things the Christmas poll has done every year is put on full display the failure of church leaders to build, foster, nurture, and grow the body of Christ. Every year. It's fascinating. So we're going to add that. And it will also show it's almost a gauge of commercialism, because what it has been showing in the last few years in particular, and well, even though I have argued that it really always showed it, but I mean, it's gotten so much more in these last few years. People don't have any faith in the church, in church leaders, whether that's their hypocrisy evangelical pastor screaming about how you have to give your life for a foreign country while he nails his secretary, whether it's that or the Catholic Church lecturing Americans on how they have to bring in millions of third world immigrants, even though they don't let shit into the Vatican. Despite that, people still search for God. So the rise of the nuns, and that's a big phrase that Andy Stanley likes to use. He's right, but one thing that has been overblown by church leaders is that just because they don't come to you does not mean they're not going to the Lord. And that's what the Christmas poll shows every single year. The only question is, How serious is it this year? I don't know yet. We'll see. But I strongly, strongly suspect that this little back and forth Cernovich and I are having is 100% correct. We already know this from other questions we've asked. Americans don't want their church leaders to hijack the message of God. They don't. They don't want you to pervert it with your rather new version of Christianity, for instance. They just want you to preach the word of God. That's one thing Andy Stanley is right about, by the way. It would be irresistible. Irresistible is his word. It's a book he wrote. It would be, oh my God, it's right here. Oh my God, I forgot. We were doing book club stuff. I was shuffling around books. As a matter of fact, I'm not hawking his book. It's just, I read a lot. It would be irresistible if you actually preach the message. And you will see the staggering amount of people who want to believe. It's not some dangerous rise of secularism in the schools. Is that happening? Yes, but that's not the totality of it. That's not why the body of Christ is suffering in America, and we can see it every year. If that's true, then why does 86% put up a Christmas tree? Or did last year? It was 87% put up decorations other than a Christmas tree last year. Why does 56.8%, why did they display decorations with religious meaning? And furthermore, we're going to add, look at this, reflect on or celebrate Christmas as the birth of Christ, 68.2%. More than just commercialism. About 20% commercial. That's what we see there, which is gross and a gross failure of the church. But that's what that's what's interesting about the Christmas poll. It's basically a gauge on that. They want to believe. They want to. 92% exchanged gifts. Less than half attended religious services. Less than half. Meanwhile, 91% got together with friends and family. 66 to supermajority attended Christmas parties. 44, almost as much as went to church, went to a Christmas concert or a play. And by the way, to those who say, and we get some fun stuff here, look at the strongly religious a third, somewhat religious 35%. Guys, the numbers don't make sense if the rise of the nuns and the liberals in the school system is the only thing to blame here. Then why does if 90% celebrates Christmas, why does 80% observe it as a religious holiday? Meanwhile, they're not going to your churches. It's you. Because you're the problem. Because you are bad shepherds of your flock. That's why. I really, really do love this poll. Will there be a comeback of the real tree this year? These are fascinating questions. I think a lot of this is just convenience. I know that a lot of Americans do prefer, of course, real trees. They just don't want to have to deal with the inconvenience of real trees, which is making sure they're watered, the needles falling all over the place, the sap leaking on the wood floor. For me, I don't care. Kids always get a real tree. My wife and I, we put up a Biltmore spruce, Balsam Hill Biltmore spruce, because I love it. I do. I got to give it to that woman. I'm not a fan of that family, but I got to give it to that woman. That spruce is gorgeous. And it's not my favorite tree, but it is the favorite one to hang decorations on because it's one of the easiest. And it's pretty. Very, very pretty. And then we have like the Biltmore, like burgundy and gold collection that we like with a little bit of ivory. Very pretty. Locals sees what Laura does with that tree. That tree is incredible. But the kids get a real tree, and the kids get to decorate it any way they want. And they got their own star and everything. It's gorgeous. They got Star of Bethlehem, a little star that lights up. It's absolutely beautiful. It's great. All right. So, yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on the Christmas poll because, of course, we will have time to do that. Just keep in mind, I I'll probably wind up popping on locals and doing a bunch of like in between the number streams, and a lot of road rages with Rich because I have a lot of traveling to do. So I have to go to Phoenix, NDC, and it's already December 12th. I really did want to go to the gala on Saturday, and I very much appreciate the invite from Troy and the guys. It's a wonderful event. I've heard. I have not been there. It's a wonderful event. It's just, it was a bit short notice, and I miss my kids. I hate traveling during Christmas. It's just true. I do want to take them to New York City one year. Maybe I'll save that for next year. But I do want to take them to New York City one year. They have no idea where their family is from. And while it's not the same place that it used to be, it's gorgeous during Christmas. I still do love it. The tree looks beautiful in Rockefeller Center. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It looks gorgeous. So, yeah. All right. When they're done in there, by the way, I told them to hang on, but the next show we will be Holly Jolly. But just keep in mind, we do have a lot of traveling. So keep your eye on the locals board and we'll keep you posted as it goes. Okay. All right. Let's get rid on that here. Let's cook that out of here. All right. Listen, I got to go back and make sure you guys hear every word of this. This is true beans. It's true. I made like 2 phone calls and I'm told this is absolutely true. Alex is telling the truth. This goes to the idea of whether or not Republicans want to win or lose. You may have heard, despite Republicans controlling easily the state Senate in the state of Indiana, Hoosiers were ripped off of the chance to redraw their map, a major betrayal to Donald Trump. 13, I believe, voted with Democrats and rejected the map. There's more to the story, however. And I'm just going to let Alex tell it because Alex got this. As far as I can tell, Alex DeGrasse, who used to work for Elise Stefanik, is a very smart guy. I told you all, by the way, that Elise is a lot more based than she let it on when she was leadership in the House of Representatives. Now she's running for governor of New York. I don't know why that other schmuck from Rochester is running. Well, I do, because they're a criminal organization. They're like the mafia, the Republican, the New York GOP very much structures themselves like the mafia. And if you get out of line or like skip the chain of command, they get super, super pissed. So this guy is running because Donald Trump is not liked. This is like, I cannot believe we're back to having to say this again, like these basics. Republicans are a fugazi party. The Republican Party is fugazi. It's fake. It's a fraud. It's a con. Democrats are not. And that's why the right's losing at the very simplest term, in the very simplest terms that I can put it. Doesn't matter how many times you elect a trifecta, as long as you keep electing these people with them. It doesn't matter. You can elect Donald Trump. You can elect J.D. Vance. It does not matter. If you keep electing Lindsey Graham, if you keep electing Tom Tillis, he's out, by the way. If you keep electing all of these kinds of same rhinos, there's like 3 good Republicans in the U.S. Senate. If you keep electing the same con artists, you will get the same result. Donald Trump had a unique opportunity to basically bully them all over the place, but he didn't. Him and his advisors, their terrible advice that they have to give him, some of which I will show you in a second, they told him to do the same shit almost basically that he did in his first term. Don't worry because we have control now better. That's bullshit. You pull the crackhead Toronto mayor playbook and you come in with elbows. And if you don't like it, you'll be destroyed. You'll be primaried. You will be the headline of my next press conference. Lindsey and Ted Cruz, you want to hold up the big, beautiful bill until I bomb Iran for Israel and agree to regime change? No problem. Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to the Oval Office. I'm going to tell the American people you're all a piece of shit. They won't pass the big, beautiful bill until I kill a bunch of people for the foreign nation they work for. That's how you deal with them. But you chose not to do that, so you're in this position now. And they chipped away at your political capital, chipped away at it, and now look at you. You don't even have the political capital to bully these people like you could before. You have no choice but to try to do it, in my opinion. But you have to, in some respects, go back to that voter you told you don't need anymore and tell them, you're sorry. Give me back my political capital. Let me put my chain of armor back on, which has always been the American voter, his voting coalition. And let's go to war with these people. I mean, Mark Mitchell said something. He's got this saying. And he told the president to his face, stop being the oligarchy. Smash the oligarchy. That's what you were elected to do. What happened to this guy? The Defense Authorization Act, all that money right back into it. He could make Vladimir Zelensky, which all of his voters want, he could make Vladimir Zelensky go to the table tomorrow if he wanted to. How? How, you ask? It's called the veto. Sorry, not signing. No money for you in fiscal year 27 and 28. No money for you. 26 and through to 28. $600 million. You're out. That's the only thing keeping Vladimir Zelensky in power right now. Is Donald Trump's unwillingness to cut off the spigot. 52 times he promised during the campaign trail to end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. 52 times. That money also has appropriations for Israel, which is a whole other different topic. Stay tuned. But until you acknowledge that your voting base really believed you when you said this was their last chance, and now they feel that you sold them out for others, they took their last opportunity, until you realize, number one, this is how they feel. Acknowledge that this is how they feel. You allowed other people to take away their last opportunity to fix their dying country. And number two, not only acknowledge it, but acknowledge that they're right, because they are. Your schedule proves they were right. They will never agree to be in a coalition again with the same groups. Ted Cruz's daily, he speaks about nothing but Israel. They will never be in a coalition with Ted Cruz and the likes of him ever again until you reconcile that needs to be done. I don't give a flying fuck if the economy is growing at 7% GDP a year. Nobody gives a shit. You can't grow your way out of this mess. You have to detonate your way out of this mess. And you can't do that without the political capital you need from these people. Your people. You remember those forgotten men and women that you forgot about? Them. They're not coming back. I hate to tell you. They're not coming back. Doesn't matter how many times you say Democrats are this, Democrats are that. You need to make this right. And by the way, no matter how much Donald Trump does what he does that benefits him, it doesn't mean, I will say this until I'm blue in the face, it doesn't mean that it will trickle down ballot to Republicans. Why? Because every day Republicans are doing something that makes their own voters hate them. Exhibit A.
Going to make excuses, but I think the reality is.
Are you saying? Hang on. Are you saying the scoop here? Hang on. Are you saying the scoop here is that the Indiana Republicans reached out to Wes Moore and agreed that Wes Moore will not try to push for 8-0 in Maryland, and they won't try to push here? That's the deal they cut?
Now being reported. So they reached out to this guy, Bob Ferguson, name I've never heard of, but it's now breaking on the internet. He's, I think, their state Senate president. And the reality, Steve, is they tricked them and said, hey, we're not going to redistrict if you don't redistrict. And the reality is they can't redistrict in Maryland because they get tossed, and we would probably actually pick up a seat there. Or two with the Supreme Court, which Republicans control, and they know.
Hold on, Alex. I'm sorry to interrupt you, buddy. Hold on. Let me just finish explaining this to people. Maryland is already so jerried because Republicans were incompetent after the 2020 census. Maryland is already so jerried that if there was a court challenge in the state of Maryland, Democrats would not only lose if they tried to redraw the map, they would probably actually gain a seat by the end of it. It's unbelievable how stupid they are, because a big part of the Republican stupidity is their corruption. You have to understand that. A big part of why they're so stupid is because they don't think like you and I think. Like, what's the best way to win? What's the best way to expand our majority? What's the best way to build our coalition? What's the best way to complete the realignment? They don't give a shit about any of that. All they care about is their own corrupt agendas. And part of that agenda is waiting you out. They feel they've already sufficiently damaged Donald Trump enough with his base, and that the Trump or bust voter will never return to the electorate, so they don't fear you anymore, which I would argue is one of the best reasons for you all to return to the electorate. Just selectively vote for the candidates that you want to vote for, because Alex Brusiewicz, you don't get a bigger ally than Alex Brusiewicz to Donald Trump, by the way. He is 100% right to go to X and tell you that nothing will ever change if you keep electing these people. Nothing. The president should drop his futile challenge against Massey, which he's going to lose. The West Wing is deluded, by the way. I'm telling you, I know for a fact. They're deluded, and they think that they could spend $20 million from Miriam Adelson and destroy Thomas Massey. Massey's going to beat them, humiliate them, and then further destroy the president's political capital and help the rhinos in doing it. The president's own advisors at this point are so bad, they're actually helping the rhinos destroy his administration, because that's what they're waiting for. They're not MAGA. Did you really believe that Lindsey Graham was America first? Is that where you're at? These people couldn't give two shits about your problems or your grievances or why you elected Donald Trump. They couldn't care less. They are dying for this administration to be over. Dismantle it as fast as possible. Whatever, Democrats, go to town so we can go back to business as usual. And that's business as usual. Whoop, whoop. That is business as usual. What you just heard from Alex, that's business as usual. Let's call the Democratic Senate majority leader in Maryland get played like a bunch of cucks and backstab our voters, backstab Donald Trump. By the way, Indiana, before Donald Trump came along, you were losing that state. Mitt Romney barely got it back. He barely won it back. You lost Indiana to Barack Obama. You damn near lost the state of Missouri. People forget. And you're deluded into thinking that that majority you currently hold right now in the state house is your majority. It's not your majority. It's Donald Trump's majority. Every majority that you losers have across this great country is because of Donald Trump. You don't win shit. If you would still have a majority, it would be a tinier one. You got lucky. Some of you schmucks got people to write R next to your dot, draw your little dot in, hoping you weren't Fugazi, hoping you weren't a con. And not everybody even fell for it in 24, but some states more than others did, because they're super, super Trumpy, and the Hoosier state's one of them. Go back to losing it. Because see the headline now. Indiana falls to AOC. You stupid idiots. You are the dumbest people ever to enter the game of politics. Nobody, even the Tories are smarter than the Republican Party, folks. And this is a party in Europe and Great Britain, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, that after Brexit had the opportunity of a generation not seen since, like, arguably when Nixon won re-election. He had the world in the palm of his hand, something like that. And they blew it like George Bush blew it. Only can be topped by George Bush's Republican Party, what happened with the Tories. So you really have to rank Republicans below the Tories. Or if you're doing dumbest political parties, you'd have to rank them above. That's how stupid they are. This is an incredibly stupid group of people. All right, Alex, take it away, buddy.
And so we would have actually liked that, because we could have actually picked up 4 seats with this little equation, 2 in Indiana and possibly another 1 or 2 in Maryland, to be frank with you. And so that's a huge, this is coming out on the internet. Literally as I'm getting ready to go on the show, as I'm watching the court situation, it's that they got totally played, or this guy is totally bought and paid for and corrupt. It sounds like both, most likely.
Alex. Right. Yeah. Alex, both. Stop. Let's pause it for a second. Both, Alex. It's both. We both know it's both. They're dumb, but they allow themselves to get played because they don't really care. They get what they want either way, Alex. We know this. You've been doing this long enough, buddy. Come on. You worked around all these people. You know them. This is how stupid they are. They are this dumb because they're not thinking about what you're thinking about, what the viewers are thinking about, what the voters are thinking. They don't think like that. They're like, man, how the hell did we survive Donald Trump so I could go back giving my brother-in-law those contracts he doesn't deserve? Like, regardless of whether I'm in the majority or not. My money laundering operation is on hold until this guy's gone, man. I don't have Miriam Adelson type money. So, I got to hold off for a little bit, It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
So they've
never seen this from Democrats.
What type of Republican, Steve, okay, who's in touch with the White House, is reaching out to Democrats to cut a deal? These are vicious, psychotic people that we're up against. And I think, look, turning point, there were a lot of groups here on the ground working. I think it's tough to control these things, obviously, from afar. And I think it's a wake-up call for everyone that it's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of shoulders to the wheel to really rid ourselves of this taint within our own party. People that are willing to put the Democrats first and, put the House majority at risk. This is really sick stuff, Steve. This is really sick.
It's not the House majority. They want to get rid of Trump.
Yes.
They don't mind sacrificing the House to take care of Trump.
That's it. We don't have to keep going any more than that. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. They don't mind sacrificing the House. They don't. Paul Ryan didn't mind in 2018. Kevin McCarthy sure as hell didn't mind, because that meant the end of Paul Ryan. And then he would be the speaker in 2 to 4 years, maybe 6. He'd have to wait, because things go back and forth. Whatever. They don't care. They just don't care the way that you care, guys. They just don't. I'm sorry. It's true. And I've for years have been, I remember in 2016 telling you guys, the election of a president, a revolution does not make. I believe that was my quote verbatim. These are dirty people. Donald Trump celebrates. Paul Ryan goes to the microphone. He heard a voice that we didn't hear, but now we hear that voice. Then they went across the street to the Mayflower Hotel, had a few drinks, and laughed at you, thinking that you were ever going to get your wall. That's what they did. That's a real thing. That really happened. That's a real event. The minute Trump walked out of that room, too, because he was there for a brief moment. He was there. I don't know. They were all having powwows and dinners and whatnot. Meet this one. Meet that one. You got to give this one a pot. You got to give this one a spot. You got to give this one a job, Mr. President. For sure. What a load of shit. And not for nothing, but the president's team at the White House is just simply not liked by a lot of these people. And part of that is their mistake. It is. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. That it is their handling of this situation, and nobody ever wants Donald Trump or his team to take responsibility or have any level of credit for anything. But you guys better wake the hell up, because that's it. I mean, you're out of time. The people who stick your head in the sand and, oh, everything's okay, everything's all right. It's not all right. You have many, many defective lawmakers, even in the House and Senate. After what happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene, they are just quiet and they are waiting. They are waiting. And this is the last of Trump. So unlike in 2020, when they had to deal with impeachment, there's no more considerations. What happens if I do vote yes? God could come back and bury me. I guess I'll have to vote no. That sucks. Guess I'll have to vote not guilty this time. Not this time. Not this time. And then you have a loyal ally like the governor of the state of Indiana, who is a loyal ally, Mike Braun. And he tweets this, which, he has been hit by now. It's about time. Because I laughed and I looked at this and I immediately laughed at how he worded it. Immediately. Because I'm thinking to myself, a small group. And actually, he's been community noted. I wouldn't call it fact checked, but he's been community noted. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, Brittany, nothing but love for you, but it doesn't matter. What do you mean you won't forget it? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Even if Trump goes around and Turning Point goes around to go, I'm going to primary these people. I'm going to primary that people. Who keeps supporting these rhinos? Not Turning Point. I'm not going to put that on them. But they try to follow Donald Trump's lead with 100%. Donald Trump keeps supporting these rhinos. That's who. He just released a slew of endorsements in Texas. Craig Goldman? Craig Goldman is Dave Phelan's butt buddy. The sloshed, inebriated embarrassment of a speaker of the House in Texas, the state House in Texas, his personal replacement for and she was the chairwoman of the House Appropriations Committee. So one of the biggest, dirtiest liaisons for the military-industrial complex there was. You had a good guy running to replace her. His name was John O'Shea. He was Ken Paxton's 30-year best friend. And you stayed out of it. You stayed out of it. And Craig Goldman, sound MAGA to you? Craig Goldman ended up winning in a runoff, and he hates you. And you flew an endorsement out on True Social the other day. He can't stand you. In fact, did not back Ken Paxton when Ken Paxton was being impeached. He's going to back you? Because why? You endorsed him? Get out of here, man. Get out of here. By the way, go look at who runs Craig's campaigns. Oh, man. So sad. Governor Mike Braun says, I am very disappointed that a small group of misguided state senators have partnered with Democrats to reject this opportunity to protect Hoosiers with fair maps and to reject the leadership of President Trump. Ultimately, decisions like this carry political consequences. I will be working with the president to challenge these people who do not represent the best interests of Hoosiers. There's no doubt that they do not represent the best interest of Hoosiers. Again, Indiana like Iowa, Indiana like Ohio, Indiana like Michigan, Indiana like Pennsylvania has been voting more and more Trumpy at the presidential level, and down ballot Republicans have benefited from that. But they are not. I repeat, despite what the shills on X, these interlopers who pretend to be me, despite what they tell you, these are not solid Republican states. These were solid Trump states. Mike Braun had a hell of a time winning that Senate race. He beat Joe Donnelly, sure, but he did not beat him by Trump-like margins. He didn't even beat him by the margin you would expect from the average swing in 2018. Sure, he won in a landslide when he ran for governor. Why? When did he run for governor again? Whose support did he have? What lane did he run in? Could they do that without Trump? No. And in fact, the last time the Republican Party betrayed their own base, Indiana went to a Democrat. It was more than 13. I laughed when I saw it, and I heard it was 13 votes. It turns out, nope. It was actually a majority. 21 out of the 40 Republican state senators. You have any idea how much it's going to cost to just primary those 20? Now, state races are cheaper. Without a doubt, they are cheaper. But there is this like crazy view in the Republican Party where all you got to do is get Donald Trump's endorsement and then sit on your ass, do nothing, and win. That doesn't happen anymore. You will need to get their name recognition almost universal among the primary electorate and then the general electorate to make sure you don't lose any of those seats, because of course they're not all going to be in seats that are safe enough from the swing. Right now, that swing is an average of 13 points. The good news is the swing in 2021 was 15. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was 11. Sorry. Now, the good news for Republicans is your leader has defied history over and over and over and over and over again. But this is not the ideal way of doing it, and he's not his normal self. He is not behaving like the guy who has defied history. I don't know what happened to that guy. He bombed Iran and we haven't seen him since. I couldn't tell you. Make Iran great again. That's all I can tell you. It's just true, guys. It's just true. Okay. Let me go and pivot here. It's 3:18. Let's pivot. And by the way, Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been released because Ted Cruz is too busy dealing with whatever Benjamin Netanyahu wants him to deal with. That's all Ted Cruz cares about. Like every day, Ted Cruz picks up the phone and he goes, "Hello, Israel. What do you want me to say and do today?" Mr. I call for the impeachment of Judge Boasberg hasn't done shit. So none of these activist judges are afraid of anybody or anything. None of them. Oh, Rich, it's unfair. Look at you believe this. Rich and Jack are now saying it's Trump's fault that he didn't have a good enough response after Charlie was murdered. You're goddamn right it is. Republican voters feel defenseless, conned. You want the brutal truth? The guy weaponized the Epstein issue for years. It wasn't me who called influencers to the White House for this big charade, binder number 1, part 1. I didn't tell Pam Bondi to say what she said on Fox day after day after day. You made them believe you were going to do something you never had any intention of doing. And you made yourself look like a fraud to all of those young MAGA voters. You made them look at you like they looked at every other politician. I got conned. And instead of saying, well, shit, we better address something they care about, like affordability, cost of living, whatever. It's got to be something else. Let's make sure we address their needs. They put America first on hold, bomb Iran for Israel, spend the next 6 weeks of the White House schedule talking about nothing but Iran. When they finally pull their heads out of their asses with that, the only reason why? What do you guys remember how the timeline went? What event transpired that pulled us out of the cycle of voters going, what the hell are you doing? What happened to America first? My friend was shot in his neck. That's what happened. My friend who told the president not to intervene on behalf of Israel, especially after what you did with the Epstein files. You're telling them a story. You're telling them a story that you are Israel's biatch. Whether it's true or not, that's the story you're telling the voter. That's the story they believed. And everyone expected this big response, an appropriate response. Not like we don't know who the NGOs are, then where this money goes, and how these kids get radicalized. It's not, we don't know that. We do. But there was no response. There were no doors kicked in. By the way, like the dude whose store got kicked in this morning because he defended himself against an armed intruder. None of their doors were kicked in. None of those NGOs were dismantled. None of these universities were threatened for basically giving safe harbor to a terrorist organization. In fact, Turning Point goes to Berkeley and is effectively under attack by a designated terror organization who isn't afraid of Trump at all. Elon won't even leave his house. Guy won't even go out in public. If you missed the Human Events special on political violence yesterday, you got to go back and look at it. Got to go back and look at it. So voters see Ted Cruz. Voters see Ted Cruz constantly pandering to Israel. It's all he talks about is Israel and Tucker Carlson. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a spectacle. It's humiliating. It's beneath the office he holds. An office he wouldn't even hold if it wasn't for MAGA, by the way, because his ass was going to lose to Beto O'Rourke. The only reason Ted Cruz was elected is because of MAGA, who didn't want their president impeached and removed from office. Otherwise, Ted Cruz's ass would have been thrown out of office for fake Hispanic Beto O'Rourke in 2018. All they hear is that from Ted. All they hear about is foreign policy from the White House, new visits from Netanyahu, how the affordability crisis is a hoax. And you expect these people to go and vote for you? Like, it gets to the point now where, like, you cheerleaders just sound like a bunch of imbeciles. This is not going to happen at this current rate. There's no chance these people come out and vote. No chance. Sorry. And by the way, your generic ballot lead was worse. Or your generic ballot deficit is worse this week. Wait until you see it, guys. Locals, you know, because I showed you. Actually, I think I did show you guys some of, on Wednesday, some of the collection. We just were like rolling it. We're doing about 1,000 a day. Even when it's a sample that's more favorable to Trump's approval, they're still getting their ass kicked by 5 to 6 points. It's pathetic. And they were running anywhere between 13 to 7 points behind Donald Trump all week long. Go impeach a judge, Ted. Go impeach a judge. And maybe they'd be worried. Maybe they'd be concerned. But they're not. Maryland dad coming to ABC tonight. Unreal. All right. Look, speaking of which, talking about Charlie's assassination, now would be a good time to pivot and just get into actually, you know what? Well, no. Yeah, people will have to wait for that. Finally, and it would be nice if somebody would stop pretending like they came up with this concern, but it doesn't matter as long, I guess, as it's getting around. People are starting to realize now, and I'll just publicly say it. I had been urging Turning Point, a big part of your strategy, because they didn't think anybody was going to believe Candace, and it's nonsense. It's so absurd. They just didn't think anyone was retarded enough to believe it, honestly. But a big concern that I told them, if you sit quiet and you're not responding, is the very real potential that you're allowing her to create another, perhaps more severe and significant risk of a juror trap. And there already is a juror trap in Utah. And I saw somebody had responded by saying, Utah's not known for their jury nullification. You don't understand how this modern phenomena is working. Utah hasn't seen, how many high-profile political court cases have you seen in Utah? How many politically charged, especially surrounding MAGA, court cases have you seen full jury, high profile in Utah, let alone that jurisdiction in Utah? Zero. You have seen nothing. They're not known for their juror nullification in what? A murder case or a bank robbery or a home invasion or whatever it may be. That's not what we're talking about here. This is a politically charged case. And it's a different level. Nothing is even remotely comparable to it. Utah already, like I've said over and over and over and over and over and over again, is not MAGA. They are the reddest, least MAGA state in the union. Mormons aren't MAGA. The LDS Church hates MAGA. In fact, look at their governor, Spencer Cox. They're woke now. I'm going to get a bunch of messages from Mormons. Don't take that shit and shove it up your ass. You don't like it? Take it up with your church. Everything I'm saying is the truth. You're not MAGA. You're woke as shit. And you do whatever you have to do to survive. And this, coupled with the population you're going to be dealing with in that jurisdiction, the university, which, by the way, is a well-known breeding ground for like rhino Republicans who recruit, in a nice way of saying it. That university is known for being an intel state recruit center. I mean, this is the worst place to have a trial like this in the state of Utah. It's just bad. Really bad. And of the MAGA population that you actually want on your jury, you're tainting the jury pool with these crazy ideas. And we'll revisit it again, but how people render verdicts. How do you know this, Rich? Because this is actually a huge part of my actual job. My actual job is not a podcaster. My actual job is not someone who makes money because of Elon's monetization of Twitter. My actual job is my actual company. And a big part of that is the prevention of jury nullification, or some clients want it, of course. The idea is get the client the best jury you possibly can get. Well, I hope the prosecution, and it couldn't be me, so don't tell me I'm over here pitching myself. I'm obviously too close to the case. It could not be me. But the prosecution better find somebody like me. Because you have a day, not even a day, after the judge allowed video cameras in the courtroom. We got to watch this guy. We got to listen to this guy. He made statements about killing him. He's not even denying it at this point. He's got a wife. I think about shooting him every day. Yeah. I think about how I shot him every day. And yet these people can read it and they're still like, nope, Candace is right. That's right. An Egyptian airplane carrying Bridget Macron's French Legionnaire lover who parachuted Halo style out of that shit, then guided this tiny little fly robot friggin' drone thing to make it look like a bullet. Of course, I'm just fat. Right, whatever. How do you know? That's just about as... I have as much evidence for that as anything Candace has ever told you. It's ridiculous, absurd. And all the while, the real problem here is we have seen this a lot. The prosecution is not offering up the defendant that some of these tainted jurors have in their minds already they want to convict. With the prosecution, it doesn't matter how much the evidence condemns the accused. It doesn't matter how much the evidence is locked out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. None of it matters. You are not putting the person or entity or whatever, state actor or whatever, you are not putting them on trial. And that's who they want to see. So guess what? Not guilty. That's how this works. So finally, Tim Pool and others are finally starting to get this through their heads. And I saw Tyler from TPUSA retweet Tim Pool. Good, whatever, amplify it. This is the biggest danger with what she's doing. And by the way, it pained me to do it. Have you ever counted the super chats on a Candace Owens YouTube video? I will challenge you to go look at the episode where Candace's latest grift, when she said that she would stop if Erica told her to stop. Well, here there are 2 clips of Erica telling her to stop, and she goes, I ain't stopping. Fucking narcissist. Go count the super chats. Go count them. Wait a minute. Maybe she doesn't offer chat replay. I don't know. But go look. And come back and give me your best estimate on how much she made in that episode from super chats alone. Because that doesn't count the advertising. That doesn't count the rest of it. Advertising both ways. Paid promotions for videos, in-video paid promotions, and advertising. Because I got to tell you, I added up something like $6,000. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it was just under $6,000. From super chats alone, to push bullshit, to do nothing but tell the audience that she will now no longer even adhere to her own promise. I mean, the girl just fucking lies every chance she gets. I really told ladies on Locals, and I'll tell the rest of you as well, are you as stupid as she thinks you are? Because this is totally woman charged. This is directed at you. I personally don't think you are. Not all of you. I mean, there are always going to be suckers of every gender, sex, race, whatever. It's just, I deal in statistics for a living. Of course, there's always going to be those suckers. But like as a whole, are you going to demonstrate that you are, in fact, as dumb as Candace thinks you are? That you're going to pay for her legal bills that ultimately are going to be given to the French couple anyway, because she's going to lose that lawsuit. And by the way, 2 others that I know are coming her way. Like, she has no chance. She is going to lose them because she did display a reckless disregard for the truth. And it's not even debatable. That no lawyer who has looked at it has told me that she has any chance of winning whatsoever. And that includes, by the way, someone on the right like Robert Barnes and someone on the left that maybe he doesn't want me to say, but he's a well-known left-wing constitutional law professor who appears on places like Fox News all the time. Cooked. She's cooked. So if you want to continue to pay the French couple's retirement fund, then go right ahead, but understand this. You will have proven her theory of the case, which is that you are so dumb she can continue this for months. And you'll defend her, you'll pay her for it. I guess maybe, like I said the other day on Locals, I guess hubby just doesn't want to pay the bill, man. Because her subscriptions were flat. Her views were nil until Charlie was killed, and she dedicated her life to all of a sudden caring about him again. Then her views and subscriptions went to the moon. Go look. It's open source, guys. Don't take my word for it. Go look yourselves. Can we now? Can we now? So here's Tim Pool talking about exactly that.
We have the story from
jury
CBS
nullification.
Charlie Kirk has one word for Candace Owens, who's been peddling conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk. And admittedly, it's all a bit of heavy drama. But I actually think this does matter for a variety of reasons. And I think this is actually a big piece of the story today, which was Tyler Robinson had his first in-person hearing. And we're learning a lot about what's going on. Now, however, there are way too many people that live in Wally world believing the most insane things because of Candace Owens. Now, I'm not going to sit here and claim the feds are telling you the truth or the FBI is right about everything. And by all means, you're allowed to believe it's a cover-up, but I can certainly tell you that 68 Egyptian planes flying around on Utah time or whatever it is, you know, the argument that she's making. She claimed that E4s and E5s were lieutenant colonels. Did you see this going viral recently? It is the epitome of unvetted absurdity.
Got to salute the E4 mafia now.
Yeah, that's right. And she's saying that the U.S. military is
I
involved.
know, but you know what? Laura's right. You're welcome. You're welcome, everybody, because nobody saw that until I did and then started texting everybody and their mother, not Tim Pool, nobody saw that in fact, I'm like, whoa. I'm literally talking on the phone with my battle who now works at the Pentagon and like furious over this episode, right? And we're like, wait, well, what did you just say? What did you just say? You never see these E4s, these lieutenant colonels. Putting aside the fact you can't vet a 35-year military jacket, guys, in 24 hours. You can't verify all that shit. Putting it aside, the least you can do is make sure that you get your freaking ranks right. E stands for enlisted. And an E4 is most commonly in the U.S. Army a specialist, or if you're unfortunate enough to be beloved by your cadre and your superiors, they may make you a corporal, which gives you an NCO status, which basically means when you come in the room, everyone's got to go, "Ooze!" And then, oh, shit, parade rest up until you go, carry on. But you don't get any more money than a specialist does. So all you do is have like NCO responsibilities, which sucks. And then eventually you'll have to go, back in the day, it was BNOC. I think it's called something else now. So you can, you could progress to E5 and actually get an NCO when you are a sergeant as an E5, their pay. And she's like, you just don't see these E4s and these E5s in so many places. You don't see that many. Yes, you do, dummy. It's called basic training, you stupid retard. And you are equally retarded if you believe her. I'm so glad that, and this is a whole other episode. You want to bury political correctness, you better do it right now. You need to set political correctness back 4-5 decades. I'm talking about pre-Dr. Spock shit. If you are at all concerned about the left taking power again, because that's coming back in force. I would argue to some extent it's not coming back, but set it back now as far as you can set it back. Use every offensive word in the dictionary that once upon a time we all used to be able to use, but now you can't do it. If it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Let me play this rest from Tim, and I'll pick up the phone from my daughter.
Bridget McCrone's a man, and all of these things, and it's all tied together. And it is crack pottery, but there are many people who are falling for this. Now, I want to get to the bottom of who killed Charlie Kirk. And it may or may not be Tyler Robinson. I think the evidence suggests it is, because it's silly to think that the feds were going to plot out this cover-up and then do it as miserably as is being suggested. It may actually just be that the shooter plotted things out miserably as has been suggested. But Erica Kirk has finally come out, and we have the story from CBS News. Erica Kirk has one word for Candace Owens, who has been peddling conspiracy theories about her late husband. She said, stop. In the town hall set to air Saturday at 8 p.m., CBS News editor-in-chief Barry Weiss asked Charlie Kirk's widow what she wants to say to Owens and others who are making unfounded claims about his assassination. Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop. Owens used to work for TPUSA, the conservative youth organization. This we all know. We understand. Now, we have a response. Candace Owens has basically said no. They're going to say that Erica Kirk talks more about her husband, so this is going to be airing later. Candace Owens is saying, her direct response was that Erica Kirk said stop lying. That was the question. And so Candace says, be more specific.
Oh.
What am I lying about? And it's funny because she pledged before that she would stop if Erica Kirk asked. So this is a grift. She's just peddling this for attention, and it's nonsense. And I do fear, again, to all those, I know a lot of people out there saying this is stupid drama. Who cares? What I care about is a tainted jury pool. And when they actually start to bring jurors in and they are asked, do you think have you heard anything about Tyler Robinson? Yes, I have.
Yep.
What have you heard? I heard that he's innocent. Candace Owens says it was the military that did it. That's going to taint the jury pool. And I almost wonder if she's doing it on purpose.
It was the Jews. It was the military. It was Brigitte Macron. It was the French couple. They want me dead too. And blah, 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 blah. And if you don't have the villain du jour sitting next to the defense attorney, it doesn't matter what evidence you have, because you will never be able to pierce through their belief systems. And I will do this really quickly because that was a call from my daughter and I have to go pick her up, which is unexpected, but I have to do it. I'll do road rage with Rich on the way for locals. All right. But here is something we have gone over before in the past. I am literally the author on survey guidelines for jury research. And we have expanded what we've known since we released this years ago. But I will give you this basic outline so you understand how people come to decisions in jury cases. It would be nice if we could all believe that every juror can sit down impartial and put aside everything they heard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and none of their prior experiences in life or beliefs or whatever they may think gets in the way of that evidence. But that is bullshit. That is not how jurors render verdicts. And unless you know somebody who has studied this more than me in the same way that I have, because everybody's different. We do it. There's always been voir dire. And there's always been, look, I even cite Ellis, who's like 1957. It's been going on a long time. The ABCs of Emotion, right? But we have learned a lot since then. And we put together what we had learned based on what people thought they thought they knew about how jurors came to decisions. And in the modern world, we have modern information, and it's not the era of technology anymore. It's the era of information. And we have different ways that people perceive facts or what they think are facts. And the fact of the matter is, pushing it up, activating our vents are the facts and arguments used when presenting the case. The juror's belief system is the filter through which the facts and arguments must pass. That's the job of the prosecutor if you're trying to convict somebody. That's the real job. The story refers to the way the juror uses their belief system to organize the facts and evidence. Ultimately, the story the juror tells themselves about the case is the entire basis on which they reach a verdict. And depending on who these jurors are, what their life experiences are. Yes, demographics do play a role, of course. How you present key evidence and themes you put them in when you deliver your narrative and whatever case scenario you're presenting will matter based on their beliefs that they have, their life experiences, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Even their personalities, folks. Even their personalities. And if you have, I picked one on Twitter before. I found one in Candace's response, and underneath on Twitter, I wrote, jury nullification is real. The juror trap is real. That is, I can tell just from what that girl wrote on Twitter after missing a series of other people saying, wait a minute, Tyler Robinson just said this yesterday. He was just heard saying it. You could hear him talking to the lawyer. What about this? Poof, right out of the mind. It didn't pass through her lens because she thinks she already knows. Something's up. I may not know what it is, but something's up. He could get on the stand and say, I shot him. And they'll be like, damn, Israel got to him. That's bullshit. This is how, unfortunately, we process the facts and evidence that are presented to us during jury cases. It's sad, but it's the reality. And the prosecution better figure it out, because thanks to her, it's a huge juror trap now. Don't forget, if you like the videos, to like them and share them far and wide. Like I said, the Christmas poll thing is up. Do what you can. Share it far and wide. Don't touch New Jersey. I will figure out why that's up there and get it down. What else? I don't know. But if there's more, I'll make sure that I put it up on X and on Locals. All right. Keep your eyes on, seriously, though, keep your eyes on Locals, not just throughout the weekend, but through the next week to figure out how we're going to do this with all of this traveling. All right. I'm fairly certain Monday is on, and that's great because we're going to have a lot of polling stuff we got to get through. And then I'm going to have to do a special for Christmas to do the Christmas poll. We'll have to figure that out. Even if it's after I get back from Phoenix, maybe I don't care if it's on the 23rd. We'll have to figure it out. We'll have to get it done. All right. Maybe it's the Monday before, right? Isn't Christmas Eve Tuesday, I believe? But we'll make it work. I promise we will. All right. Don't forget, we're everywhere, all over. Locals, YouTube, Rumble, X, Getter, Truth. The best place is right here, peoplespundit.locals.com, peoplespundit.locals.com. Going to get my kid. Locals, I'll see you in a few. We'll do a road rage Rich on the way over there. Thanks for watching. All the best, folks.